Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show brought to you by Over the Bar. We are back tonight for another match week preview prediction show. This time it's match week for the Bundesliga. Very much looking forward to getting stuck into this. And as you can tell, got a new face joining us this evening. So very happy to be able to introduce Cameron. Cameron joining from, yet another person off the Bulinews feed of our brilliant partner. So, Cameron, thank you very much for jumping in tonight and being our guest host
No worries.
of the show. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. Thanks for having me on. Big pleasure. So yeah, you can see my Twitter on the screen at the minute. You can find me on bulinews.com and several other media outlets covering the Bundesliga. And as I said, massive pleasure to be on the show.
Top man, yeah. So yeah, we'll get stuck into it, and mainly the predictions are going to come from Cameron tonight. So no pressure, mate. We'll make sure when we're reviewing it on Monday, we'll just blame you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, before we get stuck into it, if you're all able to, please do leave a thumbs up on the show. That'd be fantastic. Leave a comment. If you're watching live, of course, there's lots of Champions League action, so we'll forgive you if you're not watching live. But if you catch up, do let us know what your thoughts are on the predictions and how your team might get on this weekend. And subscribe and turn on those notifications. I can already see that Peter has popped in a message for you there, Cam. So there we go.
Dankeschön.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Hope you're doing well, Peter, and hope you survived that very long flight of yours. And of course, Mark's still unable to join us. Right then, let's get rid of that banner and let us concentrate on match week 4 of the Bundesliga. I think we've probably all been enjoying the Champions League so far. It's been great to have European football back. Obviously, just the Champs League. So our many other European contestants haven't had to play this week, but obviously the fixture list is now going to change a little bit more. But let's kick off with the first game of the weekend, which is going to be FC Augsburg hosting Mainz. Obviously, Augsburg coming off the back of a very much needed and much more improved performance against St. Pauli. Cam, how do you see this one going with them hosting Mainz?
This is a strange one because my immediate thought was that Augsburg would kick on after winning last week, but I'm a really big fan of Bo Henriksen at Mainz. And obviously they're searching for their first win of the season, their first loss in 13 last weekend. And I've just got a funny feeling that this is the weekend that they will get the first win. So this morning when I was thinking about it, for some reason, I'm saying 2-0 to Mainz.
Okay, 2-0 to Mainz. That's,
yes.
the first bogey, tentative upset on the cards. Well,
it could be.
Mainz have been good under Henriksen. I'm a huge fan as well, I must admit. I thought the first win for Augsburg was coming, but I do find that they have been stronger at home, like many teams are. But we'll go with 2-0 then. We'll slot that one in. Next up, then on to Saturday. This is an interesting game as well. FC Heidenheim taking on Freiburg. Freiburg have made a really impressive start to the season. I didn't have too higher hopes, although I guess obviously having a man in the system who's kind of been nurtured into this role
100%.
maybe hasn't meant that there's been too much upheaval. And, having Junior Adumu finding his feet, the high-profile signing from last season is really, really well timed. So, yeah, again, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, again, a difficult one, as you mentioned. And to be honest, I was down in Freiburg for the game against Stuttgart, and I thought they were fantastic. A great response from the opening goal. But I just think they're yet to really have their away credentials tested. I know it was a tough test away at Bayern. It's always going to be the case. So I've gone 1-1. With this, Heidenheim, impressive start to the season, apart from last Friday against Dortmund. But as I say, I think Freiburg's away credentials are yet to be properly tested. So I think this will be a tough test for him, and I've gone 1-1.
Yep. I would tend to agree with that. I can see it being a draw. Heidenheim, we didn't see the best of them against Dortmund. And I think they'll be a lot better for having played last Friday and then getting that extra day, so they've
Yeah.
had a decent amount of rest as well. Although, you know, when the Conference League starts, they'll have to get used to that, you know, 2 games a week as well. But for now, yeah, absolutely can see that happening. Okay, moving on to Werder Bremen hosting the Rekordmeister. So it's FC Bayern München. Yeah, they went fairly well the other day, didn't they? Just the 9 goals.
Yeah.
They
Only
were all,
9.
yeah. I mean, for that, you know, the 2 goals that Zagreb scored, Bayern were just like, you know what, we're really pissed off now, so we'll actually go out and play properly again for the rest of the game.
Yes.
Just ridiculous. So yeah, you know, the Englishman doing bits in Bayern, obviously, in Munich rather, is Harry Kane. He'll fancy getting himself a couple more goals, but Werder really surprised me last weekend, especially after going down to 10 men. So what do we reckon to them hosting the record champions?
I mean, you just mentioned it yourself. I mean, last weekend against Mainz, I don't think anyone could have predicted that after going down to 10. And I thought against Dortmund as well, the 0-0 just before the break, I thought that was a really entertaining watch as well.
Yeah.
And that they've been quite surprising, to be honest. But I don't see it going anywhere other than Bayern. I don't think it will be as high scoring as Wednesday night and at the weekend. Tuesday night, was it? Sorry. Yeah, I can see a 3-1 to Bayern, to be honest.
3-1. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Let's lock that one in. Right then. So yeah, slightly easier one maybe to predict, but we're now back on to the trickier games, I think. Again, so
yeah.
Union Berlin hosting rather hapless Hoffenheim. Yeah, we had a good chat about Hoffenheim on the Monday show, Peter, you know, giving really good insight into what's going on over there and the internal turmoil. Yeah, I mean, traditionally, or particularly last season and seasons gone by, Hoffenheim have been better on the road, in fairness. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be chances. It's maybe just if Union Berlin can take those chances, perhaps, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, Hoffenheim are really struggling to get going, obviously off the pitch and very much on it at the moment since match day 1. And as you said, it's about whether Union take the chances. And they haven't been half bad this season. It's just been a case of converting draws into wins. And I think this will be the weekend that we do see a win for the hosts. And I got down 2-0, but I'm going to adjust that to 1-0.
Adjust it to 1-0. Okay. So you
Yes.
think Hoffenheim will not score?
No.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, if Kramaric isn't doing the business, it's not often that Hoffenheim do too well up top.
No.
But very much, I'm a big fan of Borussia, so I do hope he goes well there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. We will see how that goes. Right then, so huge game already early doors, I think, for both of these teams. So yeah, VfL Bochum taking on total newcomers Hostein Kiel. Yeah, it's been a tough road so far for our new boys. Obviously, the top spiel that they were involved in with Bayern just last week was, unfortunately, a game done and dusted very early on due to defensive errors and misplacing perhaps of some passes and tactically a little bit amiss. Yeah, this is an early 6-pointer, I reckon, here, Cameron. What do we think to this one? Bochum's home form just going to be strong enough?
Yeah, that was the exact same thing I thought this morning. It's weird to have a 6-pointer this early on, but personally, with the form of Kiel at the minute, I just think Bochum won't have a better chance to get 3 points on the board. I do think both sides will score, and that's why I did eventually decide on 2-1 to the hosts.
2-1 to the hosts. Yeah, we can go with that. I think it will have that kind of feel with it, even though it is extremely early doors. Of course, we're only predicting match week 4. We're not relegating anyone already, but it's important.
Based on current form, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Right, let's have a little scroll down and have a look at our 4 remaining matches for match week 4. And I think we've got a pretty entertaining one here on the cards.
Yes.
So Frankfurt taking on Gladbach, the perennial entertainers. We often talk a lot about Gladbach on our featured 4 shows because they're usually involved in high scoring matches. I really thought that Gladbach would give my boys Stuttgart a run for their money last weekend, and for a good period of it when they were level, I thought that might be the case. But yeah, can feel this one being a high scoring and a good watch. Cameron, what do you think to this one?
Yes, definitely agreed on the high scoring. I love watching Frankfurt last weekend. Marmoush and Ekitike are just fantastic for me, and one of my favourite pairings in the Bundesliga at the minute. I was actually surprised with the Gladbach result last week, as you said, against Stuttgart. But with Frankfurt at home, I've just gone those to edge it, but I've gone 3-2, so 5 goals in a game. None of us would complain as a viewer.
No, you wouldn't complain, and that's what we get in the Bundesliga, isn't it? Yeah, 3-2 I can completely get on board with. And it would be a shame for Gladbach because they have had this more... It has not been a bad start to the season from a performance-based
not at all.
Perspective for me. And so I figure maybe when they get over these trickier games, because, traveling away to Frankfurt, taking on Stuttgart, that's not the easiest run of games.
I thought they were excellent against Leverkusen as well.
Yeah.
On opening night.
Yeah, 100%. That was a great game. And yeah, so harshly done by in that game. So yeah, let's see what, maybe after this, and if they can go on a run, it's all about obviously that consistency for Gladbach. Right then, so on to Leverkusen, who are not particularly struggling as we speak. As we're recording, they're not doing too bad. I presume it's still 4-0.
It was 4-0 last time I checked.
Yeah, 4-0. So yeah, they're taking their foot off the gas. And I wonder if Xavi's made any sub. He's only made one sub. Okay, so he's brought on Paddy Schick for Boniface ahead of their home match. And to be honest, Cameron, I am thinking this is a rather ideal game to take after a trip. Over to Netherlands because Wolfsburg they're just not doing it for anyone, really, are they?
No, definitely agreed. And from a Leverkusen point of view, I think the response, obviously after their first loss in what seems like forever, the response was always going to be the most crucial part. And obviously they responded emphatically away at Hoffenheim last weekend. And then tonight as well, I can just only see it going one way. And I've gone Wolfsburg to score, but I've said 3-1.
3-1. Yeah, let's lock that in. I mean, even with the extra rest that Wolfsburg are going to have in the freshness, they might start quick, and that might trip up Leverkusen. But over the course of 90 minutes, no, I can't see anything past the current champions. Right then to Sunday.
The big
one.
We're
already on Sunday, the big one. And yeah, I hate calling the Stuttgart games. I always do my best to dodge them. So I'll very happily hand this one over to you. And how do you see this one? Because this should be a great game.
Well, obviously living in Stuttgart for the last 6 months, I gained quite the affinity, but I've always tried to stay unbiased. Massive shame against Real Madrid the other day. They were absolutely excellent from minute one, and just it's Real Madrid doing what they do best in this competition, isn't it, in the Champions League? But it's nothing really to drop their heads from, really. I thought they were fantastic against Gladbach. Unfortunate, really, in the opening 2 games. They really sort of fell off against Freiburg after the response from, I think Kubler scored early on in the first half.
Yeah.
But I think they're getting back in their stride now. Demirovic was fantastic last weekend. Mm-hmm. And I've gone for this to be the first big result that Stuttgart get this season. And I've gone for another high-scoring game, and I've gone 3-2 to the hosts. It's Nuri Sahin's also, for Sahin as well, it's also his first big test, so to speak, as BVB manager so far. Mm-hmm. So I've just got a funny feeling that it's going to finish 3-2 to the hosts.
Yeah, I like it. I certainly would not be disagreeable to that scoreline.
Yeah.
And the return of a certain Seru Guirassy and Wolfstein Anton as well. I'm sure I'd be intrigued to see what reaction they both get. It would seem
both very different ones, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I have there is a lot of different feelings involved with both of them, isn't there? And certainly more of an affinity towards Seru and certainly less pleasant towards Anton.
Yes.
So yeah, we will see. Watching Dortmund last night, they played a typical Dortmund game as per. They were quite open. The introduction of Jamie Gittins and his
I really like him a lot.
His improvement this season has been fantastic to see, and still only being used as a bit part player, but right now that's kind of suiting him. We'll see how Dortmund go again.
I didn't manage to catch them last night, but I've heard decent things. Of course, I was unfortunately watching my team Wolves on the end of a cup defeat to Brighton, so.
The joys. Well, I was multi streaming Stuttgart and Man United, which had one was a slightly more pleasant result than the other on Tuesday. Right then, last game of the weekend, we've got FC St. Pauli hosting RB Leipzig. I can imagine the atmosphere in the Millantor is going to be real, have a maybe extra sense of bounce about it, just because of obviously the dislike or hates, basically, that Leipzig that have in Germany, and so we're yet to see Leipzig in Champions League action. Like, we're recording talking about match week 4, and they haven't even played in the Champions League yet. So then they have to take the travel north up to Hamburg. How do you see the last game of the weekend going?
It's a difficult one because obviously St. Pauli's still yet to win. And obviously you mentioned the atmosphere, and it's going to be raucous anyway because of, obviously, as you mentioned, the Leipzig dislike. And then obviously with the club still yet to win. But despite that frustrating draw against Union last weekend, I just think that Leipzig will edge it. And I'm going to say St. Pauli to score again, but 2-1 to the visitors for me.
2-1.
I just think the added class makes a difference against newly promoted sides, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's when you're still adjusting to the league, sometimes the added differences can make such a huge difference over the course of 90 minutes.
Absolutely. Yep, completely agree there. And I mean, Pauli will need a fast start, 100%, and then we'll see how much Leipzig really fancy it. But yeah, 2-1, I think it will be an away win just about with that quality that you mentioned. PM also saying 3-2 to VFB as well. So fingers crossed we've gone. We're backing up there. We love that scoreline. Right, fantastic stuff. That's all 9 games predicted. So let's have a little scroll, as we always do, to see what the table would look like if mainly Cameron has got his prediction spot on this weekend. We'd have a top 4, very strong top 4 of Munich still being unbeaten, Leipzig, Leverkusen, and Frankfurt all in the chasing pack, and potentially continuing a good start for Union Berlin. And if we scroll a little bit further down, in trouble, we'd still have the likes of Kiel, Pauli, and Bochum, but particularly those 2 other teams, Hoffenheim and Wolfsburg. I mean, I really thought that Hoffenheim would be a lot stronger this season. And yes, we are yet to see them in action, and we don't know what will happen. But yeah, it's been a bit of a wobble of a start so far for TSG indeed. Brilliant stuff. So that's us very neatly wrapped up. Of course, really looking forward to the games this weekend. We'll be back again. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the fantasy football fun with myself and Marina at 8:30 UK time. So make sure you check us out there. But all there is left to say is thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. And particularly thank you, Cameron, for stepping in and doing a fantastic show with myself. Hope you've enjoyed your first foray onto the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I'm mainly looking forward to this all biting me on the backside on Monday night. I know it's going to happen. It's my first time on the show, of course, but it's what we do it for, isn't it?
That's exactly it, mate. But yeah, been a pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to having you back on the show very soon. Make sure, like I say, to give the show a thumbs up, comment, like I say, if you've not caught us live, do make sure you let us know your thoughts. If you want to find us on X, aka Twitter, that's how you find us, at Over the Bar FB and Village Footy 20. We're also on Insta, posting fairly regularly, or regularly as much as I can do anyway. So at Over the Bar is where you'll find us. And if you want to follow Cam, it's on his details there at _Cam J Smith. And of course, Cameron works for our brilliant partners, which are Bulinews. So make sure you check out all of his stuff on there as well. But yeah, thank you, Cam. Thank you, everyone else. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers all.